Do do do. Just seeing how this works. There's a different camera. I hope his memory card's fast enough. Anyway, I was browsing. Changed my hot springs. Huh. Just looking up stuff about cameras. You know, something I noticed in this town, right? Something seems to be connected to, how do you describe it? I don't know how to explain this. I should probably turn a light on or something. The best way I'm going to explain this is, like, when I go to fix a car, right, and I find something that's bad, like, I got a couple of these, and I spent about almost, you know, $150 on replacing these coil packs in the car. And I've tested, so far 2 of them out of the 6 set have gone bad. And, well, they didn't last long, maybe half a year or so. I don't really look at it like, you know, I look at like that's a failure, because they shouldn't last that short of a time. These things should never go bad. It's just something that's obviously defective in the manufacturing. I mean, the actual life of these things should last like 10 years minimum, because of the components in it. There's a little magnet in the top of this, and the only way that it would fail is if that magnet started to weaken, and it shouldn't, because I mean, we know how to make magnets. They're fairly easy to make. But this town, something I've noticed about this town, everything is overpriced. Everything is super priced. Just like we used to have central air and heating, and we had a guy come out to fix the central air and heating, and he would jack the price up. Every time he came out, it was an extra $200, $300, and we're talking, you know, we're at the bottom of the barrel as far as salaries go. We're at the bottom, like 20K is what we're looking at. And this guy would jack us, and he would bring prostitutes out and repair the back air condition, and all he would do is just fill it up. And of course they would say, you know, oh, that's an EPA violation, eh? It's an EPA violation because it's leaking, and you can't do that if it's leaking. Well, you know how air condition repair people are. I mean, they have to get their drugs and their women, whatever. Sometimes they would bring prostitutes in the car and then make us pay them cash to fix the air condition. But that's the way this town is. This right here, this little device costs minimum $60 in this town. Minimum. So if you had to replace, and there's absolutely no way to test these without buying a $3,000 equipment or designing it yourself. Having a circuit board printed and creating the device and the power supply and everything else on your own is going to cost you a lot more than buying self-contained units to test it. So they play the game of it's a really evil game, and it's about your needs. It's not about luxury. It's about chiseling money out of the needs of people. Like, oh, should I buy groceries this week, or should I buy one of these motherfucking things? And you say, that's a dirty game. It's a dirty game. It really is. And that's a dirty, low-down town, if I would ever describe it. But the people here, some of the people are good. And it's weird how it changes. Like one week everything will go smoothly, you'll find stuff that's on sale, it'll be in other words, it's the appropriate price. And then you'll get everything that you need and stuff won't go wrong. And then the next week everything is like, everything will go bad. Like all of the stuff that you buy that you know is good will go bad, and then you go to search for it and it will be the one item that is 1,000% over markup. Why? There's some kind of weird supernatural force involved with it, right? Like, to know that I've got to buy these two now, the price will jack up on those. Even though these things, I think wholesale, they're about $6 a piece. Probably less. You can probably get it less than that. Then they sell, because you know the manufacturer always doubles the price, so they're about 12 bucks a piece, retail, boxed retail. So you know it's affordable. You can replace all of these on a car when you need to if they go bad, and rather than guessing which one it is, because the equipment to figure out which one it is very hard. It's difficult to obtain, and it also is hard to make, because you got to make it yourself. Otherwise, you got to pay the dealership thousands of dollar fee for their equipment to figure out one of those coil packs being bad. So, about this, if you buy this in this town, well, let me give you another example. Like my dryer's gone bad, and I know what's wrong with it, right? It's probably one of the temperature sensors on it. The minute that it starts going bad, all of the temperature sensors for GE models bump up 1,000% to markup the minute that it goes bad. It's like someone knows that this is what's wrong with my dryer and that part number specifically. So, but the thing they don't know is that you can put a thermistor from any dryer as long as it fits in there. It'll be the same damn thermistor in there. So I can get a thermistor for $6. So I mean, I can circumvent the assholes, because I'm smart enough to know. I realize have been around since back in the Radio Shack days, when you could walk into an electronics store and buy parts. And there used to be an appliance store, a parts appliance store. You could walk in and buy any of the little knobs, the dials, the thermistors, the wires, the harnesses, the cables, etc. And we're talking like 50 cents for a pack of stuff like that. Now, granted, that was 10 years ago. That's not that long ago when you think about it. A thermistor, a GE dryer thermistor, I'll say a GE thermostat, just so you can get it, right? When you look at this part now, like this, the LS315, look at that. That is right. That is a 35-cent part. You used to be able to walk in and they would have a box of them, and you would just take a couple, and they had it labeled for cents on the dollar. That single part right there. Now, if I were to replace the 4 thermostats and the high limit switch on there, which actually is even more than this, they want $120 for a high limit switch, which you're going to laugh if you understand what is in it. All it is encapsulated metal. It's just a different kind of metal that bends when it gets hot, so that it will break the connection. That's it. There's no rocket science in it. I mean, it's simple stuff. But the price on it, and it's only shit that goes bad with me. So if the thermistor goes bad, then all of a sudden, all of these places, this is like 50 cents to it. 50 cents to maybe, okay, in modern terms, I would say that's about, for inflation, $2.50 is probably what the retail price should be out of the package. But this is the price that I pay. So it's jacked up. It is jacked up majorly. So let's say that that's only $60. Well, that's 100% markup. 100 times. It's not just 100% markup. It's 100 times the actual price. Well, we get into ridiculousness when it gets up to 1,000 times the price. But then, you know, you get around to the whole, like, well, whatever you'll pay to get something to work, if you know what I'm saying. But I've noticed something about this town. This town has always been that way. Whenever something goes bad in your life, the one thing in this town that you need will be jacked up so high, and there's no way to get to it. Absolutely no way to get to it. The person that sells it will require you to have some kind of weird-ass license, some kind of club license or something in their car. That's the old compressor unit that we have. And eventually I could take that apart and rebuild it. But It's getting the parts. To get the parts inside of that. One guy 2 states away can buy this stuff for a couple of dollars a piece and actually rebuild this stuff. But me, stuck here, and some kind of asshole middleman filtering my internet connection, I get 100% to 1,000% markup on everything. So is it really worth fixing it? Well, let me just give you an idea. If I replaced the parts that I needed to fix on my dryer now, my dryer would cost $500 to guess. So I'm going to guess, taking a guess as to which parts are bad on the dryer. And these parts I know only cost maybe about $2 a piece for the little thermistor sensors. And if the part is bad, so you know, I could just replace all of them rather than figuring out which one it is going bad, because then you got to take it out, you got to run it, you got to test it while it fails. That way you can figure out which one it is that fails. Why do that? Why not just replace all of them? Because they're cheap. Well, not anymore. One single part costs more than 1,175% markup to the actual unit itself. This is what's funny. This unit, I bought it used for $200 basically, $250 after tax, probably a little more, about $275. So if I were to replace just those 5 thermal sensors in this, just to replace the 5 thermal sensors in it, would actually cost me $523, and it's probably not even including shipping. So when you realize stuff like that, it makes you laugh, because you think, this is the biggest bullshit I have ever experienced in my entire life. These people must be on something. I mean, to be that desperate that they would charge that much money for parts that are literally cents on the dollar. That's how much it costs to make those things. And you know that somewhere there's a huge warehouse with a bunch of boxes filled with this stuff. But of course, whoever jacks the price up doesn't want me to find that. So when I do a search, my search is censored, so it doesn't pull up competition. So I only get the jacked up price. Now, you might say, oh, that's bad, it's limiting competition. Well, that's the power that you gave these people to do. You gave these people the power to basically filter out options in the name of censorship. And that's how they used it. So now they're using it to make money off of other people. And it's usually people's desperation. Because, you know, like the guy down the street, the price gouging, $50 for a bottle of water during a hurricane, that type of shit. Just horrible, horrible. You know, I understand gouging people when it's luxury, you know, when they have tons of money to spend and they're just out frivolously shopping. Those are your marks. Those are the people that you're catering to the frivolous things of society to. And they have the money to spend, the money to burn, and they're the ones keeping the financial engine lubricated. So I understand that, but this is a little different when you're looking for parts. Not everybody wants to go take apart a car and fix things. The only people that do it are people that are desperate. Because if I had a choice between going to a mechanic and having them figure out the parts that are bad, I would easily take that option. But I've discovered that they all rip you off. They're all dishonest.